The Borderlands series has established a looter-shooter formula that became the mold for so many games that came after it. Off the heels of 2019's Borderlands 3, Gearbox Software takes the iconic series in a slightly different direction with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Does this spin-off set players on a Dungeons & Dragons inspired adventure worth experiencing?
You ready, newbie?
Time for character sheets, baby!
Or are you better off rolling dice outside of Pandora?
We're ruined! All is lost!
Find out in our review. Hey folks, if you enjoy this video review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. Let's get started. In Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, players take on the role of a newcomer to an adventuring party. Instead of actually going out into the treacherous world of Borderlands, you're instead playing a game of bunkers and badasses, which is essentially Dungeons & Dragons inside Gearbox's universe. The game is being run by none other than Tiny Tina, who serves as the shepherding hand throughout the story.
We're playing bunkers and badasses, baby!
In true Dungeons & Dragons and Borderlands fashion, players begin the adventure by rolling their character. Tiny Tina's character creator allows the player to fully customize their experience with an impressive range of features. You'll then pick a class, which is where we first begin to depart from the Borderlands familiarity. Instead of soldiers, sirens, and gunners, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands features classes like Stabomancer, the Clawbringer, and the Spellshot. Each class has a class feat and 2 action skills. The class feat is essentially a passive ability that actively aids you in battle, such as Greyborn's Demi-Lich Companion. The action skills are manually activated abilities that recharge over time. Both class feats and action skills can be upgraded and tweaked to best fit your playstyle. There are also some base stats that influence the player's combat abilities. For example, Strength will scale your crit damage %, while Intelligence scales your spell cooldowns. Each level awards you points that can be allocated among the different skills. It makes sense to prioritize certain skills depending on your class, but the game gives you free reign to distribute them as you please.
Ooh, you found a ward! That's like a magical shield above your health. Pretty sweet.
Multi-classing is also an option, which allows players to get the best of both worlds and taking abilities and traits from different classes in order to make the perfect build. With a wide range of customization options and ways to build your character out, it's unlikely that any 2 players in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands will have identical characters, and that's awesome. It plays beautifully to the D&D theme that's present throughout the game as well. The Borderlands games have always charmed with their goofy characters and sense of humor, but it feels like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands takes all of those ideas and turns them up to 11.
These go to 11.
Tiny Tina herself is beloved for her quick-witted humor and unpredictability, and that's on full display in this game. Just like the Assault on Dragon Keep DLC from Borderlands 2, she serves as the narrator for just about everything that happens in Wonderlands. Sitting in the Dungeon Master chair, Tiny Tina also has direct control over what happens in the game, whether it be a unicorn materializing out of nowhere, or a valuable item appearing just where you need it to be. Her quips and commentary as the voice of God over the story had me constantly laughing out loud, as Ashley Birch is as dazzling as ever in the role.
Now, less table talk. Cue Dragon Lord!
The character work extends beyond Tiny Tina as well, as the adventuring party also features Valentine and Ferret, voiced by Andy Samberg and Wanda Sykes respectfully.
Yeah! Combat! Kill 'em all!
They bring in vibrancy to the roles that make me feel like I was playing with a group of actual players, even when I was riding solo.
We're here to save the village!
Ooh, the village is already ransacked, crawling with skilly.
We're here to avenge the village!
Throughout the story, players are chasing after the villainous Dragon Lord, who is played by Will Arnett, in addition to being another hilarious character to interact with. The Dragon Lord also serves as commentary on the classic tropes of bad guys in D&D, as well as the Borderlands games. He stands out as one of the more notable villains in the series.
But Stallion, You may be the most beautifulest, perfectest ruler in all the land, but this time, I've won!
The combat in Tiny Tina's Wonderland puts a fantasy spin on the Borderlands formula, but it's more or less what we're used to. Players still use guns that are outfitted with different stats, and abilities that make them unique in battle. There are also spells and wards, which add to the pool of gear that players can mix into their loadout.
You have defeated the crabs! Luckily, they were carrying their life savings for some reason. All yours now.
In true Borderlands fashion, there is a seemingly endless number of weapons to be found, mixing and matching all sorts of damage types and special bonuses. One of my favorite weapons throughout my playthrough was a scoped shotgun that siphoned help from enemies upon damaging them.
Next. You eating bag? Well, that's going for you.
I spent a lot of time tinkering with my loadout to find the best weapons and spells that complemented my class and abilities. The classic Borderlands systems also expand to looting and world exploration. Each area is packed with chests, vaults, and boxes with ammo, health potions, and gold to be snatched. I was really hoping to see a new looting mechanic that plays better to the D&D theme, but that's not the case. Though it's not necessarily bad, it's these aspects that make Tiny Tina's Wonderlands feel like Borderlands 3.5, instead of something wholly unique.
Exposition complete! Who's ready to rickety roleplay?
Yeah, might as well.
To loop things back to combat, a lot of engagements just feel like more of the same outside some pretty cool new aspects. While I am a fan of the Borderlands format, it would have been cool to see Gearbox take the Dungeons and Dragons theme and use it to try some turn-based systems. That said, the action RPG approach is tried and true here. The shell-shaded art style of Borderlands lends itself well to fantasy, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is better because of it. The world is gorgeous, with stunning castles, expansive dungeons, and wavy green hills. The creature and enemies are also a nice change of pace for what we've seen in the previous games. The endless waves of goblins and skeletal warriors stand out as prime examples.
Oh, boss fight! I got a special figurine for this guy. 1 second. Rising before you is one of the Dragon Lord's most loyal undead soldiers. It's Rimbula! Roll for initiative!
The music and sounds of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands are also bathed in fantasy elements. Whether it be the sound of a spell crackling through the air, or swords clashing against one another, the game has a unique identity from an audio standpoint. The music also complements the adventure in a meaningful way, providing tense and epic tunes during boss battles and other combat scenarios. In the quieter moments, the music is calmly festive, like something you'd hear faintly in the background in a tavern.
Yeah, whatever he's talking about. There's a loot chest up on that tower. Get them loots.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a thoroughly enjoyable spin on the Borderlands formula, but it's still very much a Borderlands game. Fans of the series will surely enjoy the new spin-off, but don't expect this to be the one that finally grabs you if you haven't been a fan of the franchise up until this point. Either way, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands does enough to solidify its place among the better entries in the Borderlands franchise. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this video review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. For more video reviews and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.